In the early 1970s, amidst the height of the space race, and with humanity's fascination with the unknown, a group of scientists made a bold decision, one that would send a signal far beyond the stars, hoping to reach an intelligence far greater than our own. It was 1974 when this momentous event took place, an event that was so profound, so filled with wonder, that its ripple effect would echo through time. This is the story of the Arecibo message, a bold attempt to reach out to life beyond our planet, to communicate with beings who might be out there, waiting, watching, and perhaps wondering if we are ever going to send a signal. Imagine the scene. A crisp autumn evening in Puerto Rico, where the mighty Arecibo Observatory stood like a sentinel in the mountains. The observatory, known for its immense radio telescope, was about to make history. Dr. Frank Drake, a renowned scientist, stood at the forefront overseeing the operation. With the flick of a switch, the largest radio telescope on Earth would beam a message, encoded in simple binary, across the vast, seemingly endless expanse of space. Its target, a dense cluster of stars in the constellation Hercules, 25,000 light-years away. This wasn't just a routine experiment, it was a statement, a bold declaration to the universe that we, as a species, were ready to make contact. But the scientists knew something that few of us may have realized. The nearest star to where the message was aimed was 25,000 light-years away. That means, even if someone or something was listening, it could take thousands of years before any reply would reach us, if we ever heard back at all. The message itself was simple, yet profound. It described the very essence of life on Earth, the things that made us who we are. In basic binary code, it showed the numbers 1 through 10, the elements of DNA, the structure of a human being, and even our solar system. It was an invitation to the cosmos, a request for a conversation with someone or something out there. The scientists didn't expect an answer. They didn't even hope for one. The message was symbolic, a demonstration of new technology in radio astronomy. It was ceremonial, a sign that humankind had reached a new milestone in our quest to understand the universe. After all, what were the odds that a distant alien civilization, somewhere light years away, would even pick up on the signal, much less understand it? It was a long shot, a gamble with time and space. But then, something extraordinary happened. Fast forward to 27 years later, in 2001. Something was different, something inexplicable. The world had moved on, but the Arecibo message hadn't been forgotten. Scientists were still working tirelessly to understand the vast mysteries of the universe. But what they didn't expect was that the universe itself might just be reaching back. On August 14, 2001, a crop circle appeared near the Chilbolton radio telescope in the United Kingdom. At first, it seemed like just another oddity, a strange formation, a perfect circle in a wheat field, the kind of thing that had been appearing for years. But as people looked closer, as they viewed the crop formation from above, they began to realize that it was no ordinary crop circle. The design was eerily similar to the message sent from Earth in 1974. It was as if the signal had been received and answered. The crop formation contained the same grid pattern as the Arecibo message, but with subtle differences. It depicted not only the human form, but also a figure that appeared to represent an alien, with features unlike anything we know. The DNA structure was altered, with silicon taking the place of carbon, an element that could support life in a way completely foreign to us. The population was not the mere billions of Earth, but 21 billion, a civilization vastly more advanced than ours. And then there was the solar system, 3 planets in a distant star system, and a mysterious object that could be a planet, or perhaps a structure, hidden in the depths of space. This was no coincidence. At least, that's what some believed. The similarities between the Arecibo message and this strange crop formation were too uncanny to ignore. Was this truly a response from an extraterrestrial civilization? Or was it something more sinister, something that could only be understood with time? The crop circle near the Chilbolton telescope wasn't just a coincidence, it was a sign. It was a message, or at least, that's what many hoped. But what did it mean? Who or what had sent it? And why now? As the days passed, more questions surfaced. The scientific community was divided, some calling it an elaborate hoax, others marveling at the possibility of intelligent life beyond Earth. But one thing was for certain: the mystery surrounding the crop circle was only deepening. Those who had long believed in the possibility of extraterrestrial life were now filled with a renewed sense of wonder, while skeptics scrambled to explain the seemingly impossible. The intrigue only grew as more crop formations, similar in their complexity and design, began to appear around the world. Could this be the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one where we finally make contact with life from another world? Or was it all just a series of coincidences, carefully orchestrated hoaxes? In the midst of all this confusion, there was a feeling that something larger was at play. Something bigger than all of us, something that, for the first time in human history, suggested that the universe was far from being an empty void. The Arecibo message had done its job. It had reached out into the cosmos. And for the first time in recorded history, it seemed that the cosmos might have answered. It's hard not to feel a sense of excitement, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, we are on the brink of discovering something beyond our wildest imagination. Something that could change the course of human history forever. The Arecibo message had not only marked a new era of space exploration, it had opened the door to a world of possibilities that humanity had never before dared to dream. And as we look up at the stars, we are left wondering, is someone or something listening? In August of 2001, something extraordinary happened, a moment that sent ripples of wonder through the scientific community and beyond. It wasn't a world-changing event in the traditional sense, but it stirred something deeper within the hearts of many, a sense of mystery and connection to something far greater than ourselves. A formation resembling a cryptic message appeared near the Chilbolton radio telescope in Hampshire, England, and it wasn't just any crop circle. This one seemed to respond to an earlier message sent into the cosmos, one that had been broadcast almost 3 decades earlier. It all began in 1974, when a group of scientists, led by the renowned Dr. Frank Drake, beamed a message into the vast, silent reaches of space. Using the world's most powerful radio telescope at the time, they targeted a dense cluster of stars in the constellation Hercules, located some 25,000 light-years away. Their aim was not necessarily to communicate, but to demonstrate new radio astronomy technology. The message itself, encoded in simple binary code, depicted basic information about life on Earth, human beings, our solar system, our DNA, and the very building blocks of life. It was a symbolic gesture, a hopeful attempt to bridge the infinite void between Earth and the stars, though the scientists had no real expectation that anyone, if anyone was out, they would ever receive it. After all, the stars they targeted were 25,000 years away from receiving the signal, and they would likely have long since gone cold by the time a response could have reached Earth. But then, in the early hours of August 14, 2001, a curious sight appeared in the fields near the Chilbolton radio telescope. It wasn't just another ordinary crop circle. This one was different. As investigators arrived on the scene, they were struck by how unusual and precise the formation was. It was unlike any crop circle that had been recorded before. The design, when viewed from above, formed a distinct image that seemed to bear an uncanny resemblance to the original Arecibo message. But something was amiss. This was not merely a reflection of the Earth's image. There was a noticeable alteration. The formation depicted an image of a humanoid figure, its proportions unlike those of humans. The face was large and round, the figure was small in stature, and the body language suggested an intelligence quite different from our own. The most striking feature, however, was the use of silicon as the primary building block of life, replacing carbon. This was a direct contrast to the binary message from 1974, which used carbon as the core element for all life on Earth. And perhaps most intriguingly, the response also depicted an entirely different solar system, one with 3 planets that seemed to be inhabited planets located within the same distance as our own system, but with a clearly different evolutionary path. Could it be that we weren't alone after all? The formation made it clear that there was a civilization out there, far beyond our own, that understood our language, our very way of communication. These aliens, if they were indeed aliens, had crafted their own response in the same binary code we had used, acknowledging the message we had sent them. But the mystery didn't end there. The formation also included a diagram of the Arecibo radio telescope itself, suggesting that the creators of this response not only understood our message, but also the technology that allowed us to send it. Was this just an extraordinary coincidence? Was it all a hoax? Or was this the first real evidence that we were being contacted by intelligent life from another world? For those of us who have spent our lives looking up at the stars, wondering whether we are truly alone, this crop circle response was nothing short of captivating. It wasn't just the image that was compelling. It was the sheer audacity of it. How could this be possible? What kind of intelligence could create such an intricate, detailed response so precisely mimicking our own method of communication? And if it was not the work of extraterrestrials, who or what was behind it? As the mystery deepened, many were left grappling with questions that science and logic alone couldn't easily answer. The formation's exact origin remains unknown, but its presence forced us to ask, could it be that we are not only connected to each other here on Earth, but to beings on faraway planets as well? And if this is the case, why would they choose to communicate with us in such a subtle, enigmatic manner? Was it a warning, an invitation, or simply a gesture of curiosity? For those of us who have long been fascinated by the possibility of extraterrestrial life, this crop circle formation was a chilling reminder of the vast unknown that stretches above us. It was as if the universe itself was trying to make us feel small, perhaps to remind us that no matter how much we think we understand, we are just a speck in the grand scheme of things. But for all its mystery, it also sparked a sense of hope. Perhaps one day we might make real contact. And perhaps, through this strange, cryptic message, we were being reminded that the universe is far more interconnected than we could ever imagine. As you sit back and reflect on this strange story, ask yourself, could there really be civilizations out there, just beyond our reach, waiting for us to understand them? What would it mean for humanity if, one day, we could prove we are not alone? And more importantly, how would we handle it when we finally make contact with beings from another world? These are questions that keep many of us awake at night, pondering the mysteries of the universe. The answers may be closer than we think. In the quiet, peaceful fields of rural America, something strange began to unfold. It was the mid-20th century when mysterious formations large, perfect circles began appearing in crops. At first, these shapes were dismissed as just unusual, curious anomalies. But as time passed, the phenomenon grew, and so did the mystery surrounding it. Crop circles had made their way from the secluded fields of Europe to the quiet farmlands of the United States. And in that shift, a new chapter in a growing enigma began. Imagine waking up early one morning in the summer, stepping out into the cool morning air, and finding, right in the middle of your field, an enormous and perfectly shaped circle. It's so large that it could cover several acres of land. The crops within the circle are bent down in a precise swirl, each stalk carefully flattened, but without being damaged. It's as if something or someone had come during the night and woven this intricate design in the dark. There are no tracks in the soil, no sign of any human intervention. It's simply there, and it's perfect. At first, many thought these crop circles were just a prank. Maybe some teenagers had snuck onto a farm late at night, armed with planks and ropes, creating circles as a way to cause some mischief. But as more of these circles began to appear, with increasingly complex designs, the explanations grew less clear. They couldn't be all pranks, could they? And even if they were, who had the time, the resources, and the skill to create such intricate patterns? Something didn't add up. In the late 1960s, the phenomenon took an unexpected turn. In Tully, Queensland, Australia, a local farmer named George Pedley had a strange encounter while working on his land. While on his tractor, he heard a strange buzzing noise, and when he climbed off and walked toward it, he saw something unexplainable. What appeared to be a flying saucer hovering above the swamp. After a few moments, the object rose into the air, shot straight up, and disappeared. When George inspected the area, he discovered that a perfect circle had been left behind, made of reeds flattened in a clockwise spiral pattern. It wasn't just an odd shape, it was a message, a signal of some kind. Locals called it a UFO nest, but in reality, it was one of the earliest recorded crop circles in history. The mystery didn't stop there. Over the following decades, crop circles began to appear all over the world, from the fields of England to the United States. They weren't just circles anymore. Some were stars, intricate geometric patterns, and even pictograms, strange symbols that seemed to carry meaning, though no one could decipher them. Every time a new formation appeared, it seemed to come with a new riddle to solve, a new challenge to understand. And each new discovery left more questions than answers. As researchers delved deeper into the phenomenon, they found that these formations were not just confined to the 20th century. In fact, crop circles seemed to have a long, mysterious history. In the 9th century, a bishop in France wrote about people collecting seeds from flattened circles in the fields, using them in fertility rituals. In the 1600s, Oxford scholar Robert Plot documented crop circles in England, describing them as being caused by flashes of light in the night sky. Even in the 1930s, researchers were reporting circles in fields, and it wasn't just in remote rural areas. These formations were appearing everywhere, but what was the cause? Was it the work of pranksters? Or was something far more mysterious at play? The answers seemed elusive, leaving people questioning the very nature of reality itself. The idea that crop circles could be the work of extraterrestrial beings seemed outlandish to some, while others began to wonder if these formations were messages of language being sent from somewhere far beyond our understanding. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, crop circles began appearing with increasing complexity and frequency, especially in the United Kingdom, in a region known as Wiltshire. What had started as simple, circular shapes had evolved into highly detailed and elaborate patterns stretching hundreds of feet across the land. These weren't just random shapes. They seemed to be meticulously planned. The designs were symmetrical, with intricate lines and angles that seemed impossible to replicate using simple tools. Researchers and enthusiasts were now wondering if crop circles could be more than a natural phenomenon or human pranks. Could they be a form of communication? For many, this question became an obsession. Investigations into crop circles grew, with scientists, enthusiasts, and skeptics all eager to find answers. Some believed these circles were part of a higher, cosmic intelligence, messages left behind by aliens trying to communicate with Earth. Others thought they were the result of natural phenomena, like atmospheric anomalies or magnetic fields. But no one could explain how the crops were flattened so perfectly, without a trace of human involvement. It was as if something or someone was deliberately creating these designs under the cover of night, perhaps the most captivating aspect of crop circles was their eerie consistency. No matter how many different theories were proposed, the same question kept coming up. Why were they appearing? What did they mean? And if they were a message, why weren't they easier to understand? There was a maddening sense of ambiguity that surrounded every crop circle. Some researchers saw them as an ancient language waiting to be decoded. Others believed they could be blueprints for machines or symbols of extraterrestrial technology. And as more circles appeared, each one more complex and mind-boggling than the last, the sense of mystery deepened for those who spent their lives studying these formations. It wasn't just about solving a puzzle. It became a journey, a quest to uncover the truth behind these strange phenomena. And every discovery, every new formation, only brought more questions. Was this all part of something larger, something beyond human comprehension? Or were we, as a species, simply not ready to understand what these crop circles were really trying to tell us? As we reflect on the history of crop circles, the story becomes more than just an account of unusual patterns in fields. It becomes a story of human curiosity, wonder, and the eternal quest for answers. Whether they are the work of pranksters, a natural occurrence, or a message from the stars, crop circles continue to captivate us. They remind us that the world is full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled, and that perhaps the greatest adventure is still ahead of us. In the end, the truth about crop circles may be just beyond our reach, but the journey to uncover it is a mystery worth pursuing. And who knows? Maybe one day, the answers will appear in the very fields where these strange patterns first began. Until then, the mystery lives on, waiting for those brave enough to seek the truth. The enigma of crop circles, a journey through time. It was a summer evening in 1966 when a farmer named George Pedley, working his land in Tully, Queensland, Australia, heard a strange buzzing sound. Curious, he climbed down from his tractor and walked toward the noise, unsure of what he would find. As he approached a nearby swamp, he saw something that would change his life forever: a large circular object slowly rising above the swamp, not more than 50 feet from where he stood. The object hovered for a few moments, then shot straight up into the sky, disappearing as quickly as it had come. Confused but intrigued, George approached the spot where the strange craft had hovered. What he found there was even more perplexing: a perfect, circular formation of reeds, laid out in a clockwise swirl, measuring 30 feet across and about 2 feet thick. It looked as though the very earth beneath had been disturbed by an otherworldly force. To George and his fellow townsfolk, it was a mystery, a UFO nest, as they called it. Little did they know, this seemingly isolated incident was just the beginning of a strange and captivating phenomenon that would soon spread across the globe. What began with a bizarre encounter in the swamps of Australia would evolve into a worldwide enigma, one that has baffled scientists, mystics, and ordinary people alike. These strange, unexplained formations in fields now known as crop circles would soon become a global phenomenon, appearing in fields from the United States to Europe and even parts of Asia. The idea of crop circles being formed by unknown forces has been a subject of fascination for decades, and the story of their appearance begins to take shape in historical accounts that trace back much further than most realize. While many associate crop circles with recent decades, the phenomenon is rooted in stories stretching back centuries. In fact, the very first mentions of such formations come from the 9th century. In France, a bishop named Abagar wrote about strange circular patterns appearing in fields which were believed to be the result of pagan rituals. These patterns, believed to have been left by a flash of light, were also thought to be part of fertility rites carried out by people with mystical beliefs. A couple of centuries later, in 1686, Robert Plot, a professor at Oxford University, documented similar formations near his home in England. He even drew illustrations of these patterns, describing them as being created by a flash of light. Plot noted that animals would avoid these formations, and he was the first to suggest a connection between these mysterious shapes and some kind of natural or supernatural force. But what was more perplexing was the quality of these formations, their precision, and the speed with which they appeared, often overnight. The 19th century saw the phenomenon grow, as more and more reports of strange shapes in fields began to surface. John Leland, who served as the librarian to King Henry VIII, was one of the first to document such occurrences. He wrote about unusual patterns found in grass fields, and by 1937, a British scientific journal published an article about crop formations found in barley fields, complete with the first known photograph of a crop circle. It seemed the mystery had caught the attention of serious scientists. But it wasn't until the 20th century that crop circles would truly capture the public's imagination. In 1945, a balloonist with the RAF Parachute Training School took a photograph of a crop formation in southern England. This photo, taken from the air, was the first clear evidence that the phenomenon was more widespread than previously thought. By 1963, the U.S. Air Force had launched an investigation into crop circles found in Kansas, signaling the increasing interest in what was happening in these fields. But the breakthrough came in 1966, when a crop circle appeared near the small town of Chatham in England. This formation was unlike any other before it. It was perfectly circular, with no signs of human intervention, and it was much larger than any previous formation. As the years went on, crop circles continued to appear, becoming more intricate and complex. The patterns shifted from simple circles to elaborate geometric-shaped stars, hexagons, and even pictograms that appeared overnight. The phenomenon began to draw even more attention, and the mystery deepened. How could these intricate designs appear in the dead of night, with no evidence of anyone creating them? And why did these shapes seem to be connected to strange lights or flashes seen in the skies above? In the late 20th century, as crop circles began to appear with increasing frequency, the debate over their origin intensified. Some believed they were messages from extraterrestrials. Others thought they were the work of highly skilled hoaxers. But as the complexity of the designs grew, so did the questions surrounding them. How could these formations, some spanning hundreds of feet, be created so quickly, with such precision? Could it truly be the work of a human, or was there something more at play, something beyond our understanding? And then, something remarkable happened. In 1996, a man named John Way, camping out on a hill in England, recorded footage of several glowing orbs hovering over a field. These orbs seemed to be connected to the formation of a crop circle that appeared overnight in the same field. The footage, which was shown on national television, seemed to show evidence that the crop circles were not man-made, but perhaps were being created by some unknown force from above. Despite the increasing evidence, skeptics continued to argue that crop circles were nothing more than elaborate hoaxes. But as more complex designs continued to emerge, each one more intricate and geometrically perfect than the last, it became harder to dismiss the possibility that something far beyond human understanding was at work. Could crop circles be a form of communication? A message from an advanced civilization beyond our world, or perhaps a warning, an invitation, or a sign of something to come? As a viewer, you might be drawn into the mystery of it all. Imagine standing in the middle of one of these formations, looking at the perfect lines and shapes, wondering how they came to be. The hairs on the back of your neck might stand up as you feel the chill of something inexplicable in the air. There's a sense of adventure here, an invitation to step into the unknown and explore the boundaries of what we think we know. Could these formations be more than just a natural phenomenon? Could they hold the key to answers about life beyond our planet? The deeper you delve into the mystery, the more questions arise. Who or what is behind these formations? And what does it mean for humanity? Are we on the brink of discovering something extraordinary, or are we simply caught in the web of a grand hoax? The answers, it seems, may be hidden in the fields, waiting to be uncovered, one circle at a time. As you ponder these questions, the mystery of crop circles continues to draw us in. It's a story that transcends time and culture, a puzzle that beckons us to keep searching for answers, no matter how strange or unsettling the journey may be. What's clear is that the phenomenon of crop circles isn't going away anytime soon. So, if you're brave enough to follow the trail, you might just find yourself caught up in a story that challenges everything you thought you knew about our world and beyond. In August of 2001, something unexpected occurred that would stir the imagination of many and challenge our understanding of the universe. This event began with the discovery of a crop circle formation near the Chilbolton radio telescope in England, not far from the famous Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. But this wasn't just any crop circle. This was different. Unlike the simple geometric shapes that had appeared before, this one seemed to offer a direct response to a message sent out from Earth nearly 3 decades earlier. The Arecibo message, broadcast in 1974, was meant to be a one-way communication. A group of scientists, using the powerful Arecibo radio telescope, had sent out a binary-coded message into deep space, aimed at a cluster of stars in the Hercules constellation. The content of the message described the basics of life on Earth, including human beings, our solar system, and our DNA. It was a test of new technology, a demonstration to the world that we could send information across the vast expanse of space. No one really expected a reply, certainly not within the foreseeable future. After all, the nearest star that could possibly receive the message was over 25,000 light-years away. But as the years went on, the world moved on too, and the message faded into the background of history. That was until a crop circle appeared in 2001, near Chilbolton. Upon closer inspection, it was clear that this formation wasn't just another random pattern created by hoaxers. It was too precise, too elaborate. It was also eerily familiar. For those who had studied the Arecibo message, the crop circle formation seemed like a direct reply. The design included a humanoid figure, but not like the ones we know. The proportions were strange, almost alien, with a large head and features that suggested a species quite different from our own. But it didn't end there. The formation also contained a striking difference from their original Arecibo message. The chemical makeup of the alien species was not based on carbon, as we are, but on silicon. Silicon-based life was something that had only ever been speculated about in science fiction. Yet here it was, etched into the fields of southern England. And the message didn't stop there. It included more details. A population of 21 billion, far greater than the human population at the time. A solar system with planets in different positions from ours. And even a representation of the Arecibo telescope, showing that whoever had sent this message understood the technology we had used to make contact. For those who were willing to entertain the possibility that this was not merely a coincidence, the implications were staggering. Could this really be a response from an extraterrestrial civilization? What were they trying to tell us? And more importantly, why now? The timing of the crop circle's appearance, just a year after the Arecibo message, couldn't have been more significant. It was as if the universe was offering us a hint, a glimmer of something far beyond our comprehension. The message itself was wrapped in mystery. How had they communicated with us? Why choose such an intricate and difficult method? After all, if they had the technology to respond across light years, surely there was an easier way to make contact. Why use crop circles? The strange symbols, the binary code, and the cryptic nature of the design raised more questions than answers. But as strange as it was, It also felt like an invitation, a call to action for those who were willing to question the reality we've come to know. For many, the question wasn't just about the existence of extraterrestrial life, but about what else could be out there. What other messages had been sent? Was this crop circle the beginning of a larger conversation with other worlds? Or was it merely the tip of the iceberg, a small but significant clue in an ongoing mystery that had been hidden from the public for decades? The tension grew as more information surfaced. Some researchers claimed that the formation near Chilbolton wasn't a hoax. The precision of the design, the inclusion of specific details about our solar system, and the mention of silicon-based life pointed to something far beyond human capabilities. Others, however, dismissed it as an elaborate prank. Yet, the idea that something so complex could be created overnight by human hands seemed implausible to many. The mystery of the crop circle only deepened, creating a sense of unease and wonder among those who had followed the story. And then, just a year later, in 2002, another formation appeared, this time even more bizarre than the last. A message written in binary code was embedded in the crop circle, but this time it wasn't just a response, it was a warning. The code translated to the words, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there." We oppose deception. It was an unsettling message, one that felt like a warning from beyond the stars. What was this warning about? And who were these bearers of false gifts? The message echoed a sense of urgency, as if the sender knew that time was running out. It was as if they were telling humanity that we were on the brink of something significant, and that we needed to choose our path carefully. The warning about deception and broken promises was a sharp reminder that not all messages were meant to be trusted. But who was sending them, and what did they mean? As the days and years passed, the mystery deepened. More crop circles appeared in various parts of the world, each one more complex and cryptic than the last. Some researchers believed that they were part of a larger cosmic puzzle, one that humanity was meant to solve. Others feared that they were part of a disinformation campaign, a way to distract us from the truth. But no matter where the answers lay, one thing was certain. The mystery of the crop circles had only just begun, and there was much more to discover for those who dared to explore the unknown. The question remained, what lies beyond the veil of our understanding? And are we ready to face the truth, whatever it may be? The crop circles, with their mysterious messages, continue to offer clues, but the answers may be just beyond our reach. Until then, we are left with the uncertainty of what may be waiting for us out there in the vast expanse of the universe, and the tantalizing possibility that we are not alone. Thank you so much for watching my video. This video has 2 parts, and I hope you'll stay tuned for the next part. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next part. I truly appreciate your support and hope to see you in the next video.